management. So thank you so much. I want to welcome all my fellow leaders in the youth ministry. I love the youth ministry. I am a trainer of the youth. I'm also a master guide, as Esther has said. Currently, I'm the executive secretary of Central Uganda Conference, and I'm in charge of the policy. So what I'm going to take you through, let me post it on the screen. I think you can see it. And I will try to minimize my screen. From there, you will see that screen. Now, brothers and sisters, as you can see, I have tried to get the topic, the Seventh-day Adventist leadership and management. I love the two. I love the word leadership and management. As you can see, I was given a topic under the heading of understanding church policy and leadership, because they told me to teach about understanding church policy, church manual, and leadership. So for me, I took the church manual and church policy together to have understanding church policy and leadership. Seventh-day Adventist, as you may know, it is a worldwide united church. So it operates in uniformity. It loves uniformity. It conducts its operations through the understanding of leadership and management. I'm trying to separate those words. Some people don't separate them, but for me, I am going to separate them in order for you to understand better. The aim and objective of this seminar is that it enables leaders and managers, of course those are youth leaders and managers, to know how their church operates and avoid disgrace to their church and their country. Why am I saying disgrace? As a leader, as a youth leader, you'll be moving outside Uganda. Now, when you meet your friends, some of you go for conferences, you go for workshops, you go for trips, tours, camps. So when you meet with other people, like there was a time when the youth, the Pathfinders went to Tanzania. So when you meet with your people there, and you try to discuss leadership principles and management principles, when you discuss the policy principles, issues concerning policy, how do you articulate yourself? So we want, as I told you, that the SDA Church is a worldwide church and it is united church. They expect you, the leaders from Uganda Union of the Seventh-day Adventist, from the youth ministry, to speak the same things as the people you have met from South Africa, America, and everywhere on this globe, to speak the same language. Because if you speak differently, you will shame us. You will be a disgrace to you yourself, to your church, and your country. Therefore, this is the aim and the objective of this seminar, that I take you through the two concepts, the leadership and the management concepts, so that you learn some things. So after this presentation, leaders in the youth ministry shall be able to serve the church freely. If you know what to do and how to do it, you serve your church or you serve the community freely, and you will be able also to articulate the importance of policies, when to apply them, and how to do it. So that is the aim of this seminar. Now we have two concepts, as you can see up there. We have the leadership and the management. I'll try to differentiate the two, find them. Leadership and management go together for effectiveness. When I talk of effectiveness, I mean successful in producing goals. That is what we mean by effectiveness. When you are successful in producing the designed goal, the set up goals, then we say you are an effective leader. Then efficiency, that is when you are functioning in the best way possible. Therefore, leadership and management, they go together. Management, maybe let me just define them briefly so that you can understand. Just take up your pen. I'm giving you this definition, very simple definition. Management is doing things right, and leadership is doing the right thing. Management, you do things rightly, and leadership, you do the right thing. Leadership is about getting people to want to follow and to work towards what is being required. So that is leadership. You get people to want to work, to want to follow. If you are leading, can you stimulate them? Can you motivate them to follow and to work? So leadership is about effectiveness through trust. When people trust you, when you inspire them, you consider they themselves, then we say you are a good leader. On the other hand, management is about getting them to do it correctly and in the best way possible. Therefore, management looks at efficiency, while leadership looks at effectiveness. Therefore, management is about efficiency and getting results through systems, processes, procedures, controls, and structure. Leadership. Now, this one is a brief statement and a definition. If you can differentiate these two, it will be good for you. Leadership is knowing what to do. Do you know what to do as a leader? Yes. Do you know that you need to sit meetings and conduct meetings, committees? Yes, I know. And management is knowing how to do it. You may know what to do, but you don't know how to do it. Therefore, that is why we need the two. We need the leadership and we need the management. Leadership is knowing what to do. Then management is knowing how to do it. Now let us look at the servant leadership. Leadership is serving, this servant leadership is serving God and his people, not yourself. Servant leadership is serving people and serving God and his people, not yourself. There are tendencies where people want to serve themselves. People want to satisfy themselves. But leadership in the concept of servanthood is serving God and his people. As you can see, Mark chapter 10, verse 45, the Bible says, "For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many." That is from NIV. What are the characteristics of a servant leader? Number one, the servant leader is the one who loves to serve people like Christ. So a servant leader will be somebody who loves to serve people as Jesus served them. How did he serve? He took interest in people. He served them with love. He avoided selfishness. Number two, a servant leader is someone who loves to give to others, like Christ. Now, in Mark, the Bible said, Jesus did not come to be served, but to serve and give life. So a servant leader is somebody who serves at the same time giving to others. He gave life. For you, you can give what you have. You can give time. You can give chance. You can give your smile. As you know, my daughter Esther Waiswa, is a lady who smiles. So that is a gift given to her. So as she leads, as a servant leader, she gives her smile. So when she smiles, I think you feel good. So you can give encouragement to others. Whether they are failing, you give encouragement. Number 3, a servant leader is somebody who forgives people. That man, those 2 writers, they said, forgiveness is not an elective in the curriculum of servanthood. It is a required course, and the exams are always tough to pass. So, in servant leadership, you don't need to say, should I or I should not forgive. You should forgive, and you must forgive, because it is not an elective, it is a required course. It is God's forgiveness of us that makes possible our forgiving others. So, since God forgave you, you need also to forgive others. Number 4, a servant leader is somebody who forgets. He forgives and forgets. He doesn't forget the good things done to him, but he forgets the bad things done to him. Some people forget the good things and remember the bad things. That is very wrong. So forgetting is to disregard. According to Webster's dictionary, Webster Dictionary defines forgetting as disregarding intentionally or to fail to become mindful at the proper time. What does that mean? That is jargon. To disregard intentionally means when Esther annoyed me and I forgive her, I intentionally disregard what she did to me. I intentionally disregard it. It is never hurting me. So that is the meaning of the word forgetting. Forgetting does not mean that the thing is erased out of your mind, because God made our mind, made our brains as a store, and we store what we have seen, what we have heard, and what we have gone through. So if somebody has spoken wrong about me, I don't forget that. I remember. But what I mean by forgetting, I disregard it intentionally. I say, no, that one is no longer bothering me. Then the 5th characteristic of a servant leader, he portrays being different. Matthew says in chapter 6, verse 8, therefore, don't be like them. Don't be like them. Jesus told us we should not be like others. We need to be different in all matters of life and service. Let us be different. Let us be different in the way we speak, the way we relate to others, the way we conduct our meetings, the way we believe in God. That is why the Seventh-day Adventist Church is a different church, because we are different. Now, let us look at the dimensions of successfulness in leadership. If you want to be a successful and spiritual youth leader, you should have these 5 dimensions of knowledge. You must know the 5 things. Number 1, you need to have knowledge about God. You must know God as your personal friend and promote him in your daily life and activities. You must know God as your personal friend. Ensure that people you will encounter know him also through you. Never let people know God through other means, but they should know God through your life, through your speech, behaviors, love, and services and extra. Therefore, you should know God as your friend. Have that knowledge. You'll be a successful leader. Number 2, know about the church's belief. Know what the church believes in, your church, and what it stands for. Believe in them and also teach them. Gentlemen, there are times when the church teaches this, it believes in that one, but for me, I don't believe in that. If you want to be a successful leader, you must have the knowledge about what the church teaches, what the church stands for, and what the church believes in, and believe in that. No, don't believe in other things when the church is believing in other things, and teach them. Don't just believe in them, but teach them. Don't teach your concepts. Don't teach your mind. Don't teach what you think, but teach what the church believes in and what the church teaches. Avoid teaching and promoting what is contrary to your church. What the church teaches, you teach contrary. You promote contrary. That is wrong if we want to be a successful leader. The third one is knowledge about how your church does things. And this is why I have said I am dealing with the two concepts, the leadership and the management. Number 3, you must have knowledge about how your church does things. Know how your church does things and its programs and how it handles its affairs. You must know that. And you must do things according to the procedures of your church, not how you feel or desire. Remember this: the world, the church, and yourself. You have ways of doing things, but to be safe in the church of God and to be safe in leadership, to be successful in leadership, you should do things the way the church does them. Don't do the way you think and the way the world does it. Number 4, you need to know about yourself. You have to have that knowledge about yourself. You must know yourself. You must know your weakness. You must know your strength. Never undermine an issue, because through your weakness, you will be overcome. You should know what you can do and what you can't do. You see, if you think you can do that, yet you can't do it, you will be embarrassed. So do what you know. You must know what you can do, and you must know what you can't do. This one helps you to avoid embarrassment after defeat. So do what you can with all your might. If you know you can do this one, do it. If you know you can teach, teach. If you know you can lead, lead. And lead with all your might. Then the last one, the 5th one, knowledge about the people. You must know the people you live with and the people you are serving. You must know them. Now, I just want to caution you. Minimize the statement which says, I don't understand the people. At least if you can, avoid it. Now, let me tell you, if somebody does not understand the people, he is not fit to be among the people. If you don't understand the people, you are not supposed to be among the people. Because if you don't know animals and you don't understand them, then you are not fit to be among animals, because you may not differentiate man-eater and non-man-eater, a carnivorous animal and a herbivorous animal. You will not differentiate them because you don't know, you don't understand them. Therefore, you must know people, because you are working with the people. You are serving people, you must know them in order to fit them. So, understand the people before they understand you. Don't just say, I don't understand people. No, that is out. Now, among all the 5 knowledges which I have given to you, let me consider the third one, knowing how your church performs or how it does things. This is now we have come to management practices. I have finished the leadership concept. Now let me deal with the management concept. Management, as I defined it previously, it is knowing how to do it, knowing how to do things. Leadership is knowing what to do, knowing the things you do. Therefore, the church does its work through guidelines and procedures. When you combine the two, you get what we call policies. As I told you that I am a leader, and at the same time, I'm a manager. I'm the one, my office deals with the policies of the church in the central conference. What is a policy now? In Mark chapter 2, verse 14, Jesus said, follow me. The Bible continues to say, and he followed him. Policies help the church to follow in the steps of Jesus to accomplish its objectives of saving the people. So the importance, the first core issue of the policy is to help the church follow in the steps of Jesus. How do we define policy? A policy is a set of principles adopted by an institution to achieve its aims. You can call it a set of practices or formal ways of doing business. According to Webster, it is the authoritative voice, the policy is the authoritative voice of the church in matters regarding administration and its work. Policy defines the elements. Elements, these are the groups in the church. They define, for instance, the youth. The policy can define the youth in an organization, who they are, who are the youth. How do they relate to each other? How do the deacons, the elders, the youth, the treasurers, the pastor relate to each other? What joins us or what defines who we are and how we relate to each other? We consult the policies. How we carry out the activities. How we acquire resources in order to do the work of God. So all that is accommodated in the policy. So the policy helps the organization to interpret things in relation to their affairs. For instance, the policy helps us to interpret things in the same way today as we interpreted it yesterday. So if you don't follow policies, today you interpret things differently, and tomorrow when you are met somewhere, you'll interpret them differently. For instance, if we were in a meeting and we vote something, what we have voted falls under policy because it is a guideline now. It becomes a principle, what we voted. So that one binds what we said yesterday. So today we just say, what did we say in the meeting in July? We say, no, we said we are going to have a meeting. Then why don't we have it? But if we did not have such a policy, we can just say, okay, what did we say? Now, nobody remembers. Now we do other things. So the policy also helps us to handle things at the same level. For instance, at the local church, how do we handle issues? And at the headquarters. So the policy helps us to look at that, to enable us to handle things the same way. How we handle them at the conference is the same way how we handle them at the local church. Now, let me tell you, not until you have a challenge which requires you to have support or backup, you will not appreciate the importance of a policy. According to the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, these are importances of all the important roles of a policy. Number one, when you look at guidance, a policy defines goal and how to achieve them. Therefore, it also helps to identify key activities and how to address issues. If we want to have activities to accomplish a certain objective, the policy will guide us. Number two, consistency. The policy ensures that institutional processes don't deviate. The process of an institution does not deviate or deteriorate over time. What do I mean by this? For instance, if I am, currently I'm a secretary at the Central Uganda Conference. I do some things here. I write minutes. I do all sorts of things. Now, after my going, if tomorrow I'm not in the office, the institutional process should not deteriorate. We can't say, Alisengawa went, now things have not moved because he went. No, when I go and leave the office, the one who comes next will follow the policies and continue with the work. So it helps even the newcomers to cope up and learn quickly how the organization operates and what expected of them. Then we have accountability. The policy helps us to refute allegation of the unfairness or legal violation that people may file against the institution. For instance, if we terminated maybe a worker, and the worker goes to the courts of law, files a case against the institution, the court will just ask, what are your policies? What does your policy say? Now we read out the policy, and they will ask the employee who has filed the case against us, do you know that policy? Oh yes, I knew the policy. Now what are you saying? You knew the policy, you knew how things are done, but you did not do them accordingly. Therefore, the case, you have lost the case. Therefore, the policy helps us to refute allegation of unfairness. Not only that one, but even efficiency. The formal and written policies help to improve the institutional performance when it comes to expectations it has on its leaders and workers. So it helps us to improve the performance. Not only that one, the last one is clarity. The policy makes people to be clear about what needs to be done. It is what the policy says that we can do, how it needs to be done, and who is to do it. This leads to smooth operations. Without policy, people may not know what to do and how to do what they are supposed to do. We evaluate, if we are workers, we are evaluated according to the way we have followed the policies of the institution. Now, let me summarize the importance of the policy. Policies provide a roadmap for day-to-day operations, ensuring compliance with the laws and regulations, giving guidance for making decisions, and streamlining internal processes. So it gives the roadmap. What I mean by the roadmap is you know where you are going and how you are going. So the policy helps service providers, like the leaders of the youth and the managers, to know who is eligible for their services. Now, in the policies, you know who to serve. You know who needs your services as youth leaders. How do you know it? You go to the policy and read. Remember one thing, Adventist Church, as I said, is a worldwide community of believers anointed in beliefs and purpose. So the church policies are there to define the internal governance with the responsibility and authority assigned to a variety of its entities. So the policy, they help us to define the internal governance. If you want to know how the church operates internally, read its policies. As I said, that there must be policy clarity and consistency. If a policy is clear, I mean it is unclear, it is difficult to be applied and accepted. That is why the policy should be clear. Institutions that have had consistency in the application of policies have had no problems in running their programs, and the contrary is the same. If you don't follow if you are not consistent in applying your policies, then you will run into problems. So we must implement the policies consistently. Don't apply policy today and tomorrow you apply your own knowledge. Don't apply policy on little or new members and then fail to apply the policy on all the members. So apply policy consistently. Policies are reliable to be changed and flexible, but they should not be changed for personal interest, instead for the benefit of the organization. So if we want to revise the policy, we revise them according to the interests and the benefits of the organization, not on the personal interests. What are the renowned policies of the church? I have put down these 7 as the renowned policies of the church. These are policy books now. If you were talking about policy, what do you mean? These are now the policy books of the church. There are others, but I have put down 7. One is the working policy. This is for administrators, for guiding them. We have the second policy book, that is the church manual. This is for the entire church, and it shows how the local church operates. We have number 3, the minister's handbook. This guides ministers in ministerial activities. We have the elders' handbook to guide the elders. We have the deaconry handbook. We have pastor and elders' handbook for the youth. This is for the youth. How do you deal with the youth? Then we have this one. This one is a bit unknown to most of our people, but the leaders, they should know it. It is called the Statements and Guidelines and Other Documents. This has our guidelines and statements on different issues. And therefore, according to the ECD policy book of 2019 and 2020, page 51, it says the Seventh-day Adventist policies shall be strictly by all organization, followed strictly by all organization in every part of the division or the territory. The Seventh-day Adventist policies shall be strictly followed by all organizations. As I have written them up there, they should be followed by our organizations. The work in every organization shall be administered in full harmony with the policies of the division. No departure from these policies shall be made without prior approval from the division executive committee. If you want to to depart from operating following the policy, we need to apply that one and be approved by the division committee. So the leaders, these include administrators, pastors, and institutional personnel, shall cooperate in maintaining with the policies as they affect the work in respect to their organization. That is from the policy book. Now from the church manual of 2015, that is the current 2015, page 16 and 17, it says, no attempt should be made to set up statement of membership or attempt to enforce rules or regulations or for local church operations that are contrary to the decisions adopted by a higher organization and that are set forth in the church manual. If we want to do something, do it according to the way the church manual puts it. Leaders in the church ought to guide and guard the church. Why? Because our church moves or it needs orderliness. It operates on rules. It operates on discipline, uniformity, and cooperation. The policy, therefore, describes the operations and functions of the local church and their relation to the denominational structures in which they hold membership. Church manual. The church manual finds in the church manual, we find the churches together in their functioning and relationship. It holds in understanding Christian life, church governance, discipline based on biblical principles in the church manual. We find it there. The biblical principles stipulated in the church manual should be followed in all matters to cooperate. What are the important policies for the youth? In this study, I have cited some of the important policies of the youth ministry. Number one, church discipline. You will find it there on that page, on those pages. We need to know what is discipline. Who is to be disciplined? Why discipline? When is discipline given? And what are the effects of discipline on the erring member? So there is a policy about discipline. There is also a policy about membership on those pages. Who is a church member? Who is a church member? Is it somebody who has prayed with us for a longer time and he becomes a church member? Have you ever seen a church just giving responsibility to somebody who has been praying with them for a longer time, and all of a sudden when you ask that person, where is your membership? He says, in Kigali. Yeah, it is in Arua. Is now the church elder in a certain church in Eastern Uganda field, or Kasese. When you ask him, where is your membership? It is in Busoga, in Kamuli. Yes, it is at Chireka. This man is serving in Rwenzori. That is wrong. So you need to know who is a church member. What is the importance of membership? There are some people who don't know even where their membership is. Where should my membership be? According to the policy, your membership should be where you are. If you are to be in that place for more than between 3 and 6 months, you need to take your membership there. And you don't carry that membership in your hand like a book. You just go. After you have gone, ask people, ask the secretary there, the church clerk, to transfer your membership to this place. So we need to know about rebaptism of the already members. There are some. We have a problem whereby people love to be rebaptized so much. When you conduct a seminar, they say, I want to be rebaptized. So what is the importance of rebaptism? What is the importance of baptism? Then there is also a policy about church elections on those pages. Who is to be elected in the position of responsibility? How is the election conducted? Behaviors before and after election. How do we behave during election and after election? Meetings. There is a policy about meetings. I'm giving you what is in the church manual. Church boards. How do we conduct the meetings of church boards? What is the importance of business meeting? Youth meetings. What is the relevance of the decisions? Do we follow the decisions we pass in the meetings? how are we successful in conducting meetings? We have a policy about worship, standards of Christian living, worship. How are we reverent in God's church? And what about dress code as youth? How do we dress in the church and outside the church, in the market? If people are not seeing us, if the church elder is not there, how do we dress? Use and the management of media and social platforms. This is now an era of media and social platforms, because even now I'm using media. Now, how do I use media which honors God? There is a policy on that. Youth and local church, pastors. Now, when you read the other book which I told you, the Pastors and the Elders Handbook, how do we relate with the church? How do we involve our youth in the church activities? Now, let me also talk about the statements, what I gave you as statements and guidelines of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Now, let us look at the statements. The first one is about the abortion. The church is faced with the two realities: preserving personal liberty for women and protection of prenatal human beings or human life. Sustaining human life is reflected as a Christian responsibility. Therefore, according to the standards of or the statements of the church, termination of life should not be done except for serious reasons. So, prenatal abortion for gender, for birth control, for convenience, this should not be entertained. We should not entertain that, because it is convenience, it is birth control, it is gender. I did not want to produce a girl, therefore I need to abort that fetus. No. There should be consideration of balancing individual liberty and accountability, according to that page. That is the book of statements and guidelines of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Same-sex, like homosexuals and lesbians, you remember this same-sex union attacks marriage institutions, which is, of course, a thought and it is a thought and arrangement of God, but same-sex attacks it. So same-sex union is a manifestation of disorder and brokenness in human inclination and the relation caused by sin. So the Bible, as God's word, does not support same-sex union, and the church goes by that according to the policy. Gentlemen, I have spoken very fast, and I know that we need. I need to share with you for you to know whether you are there. Yes, Esther?
We are here, Pastor.
They are there. Okay, because I was cruising very fast. I want to stop there because I have limited time, so that they can pose some questions.
Sure. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you. It has been a very enriching presentation. You know, Pastor, many of us were taking, many of the youth and the youth leaders would take church manual, church policies as very tough, books that are only held by pastors. And I wonder if we as youth leaders here, we are entitled to handle, to touch or to own those books, Pastor. That is our number one question, as we welcome the other questions, but it has been a very enriching presentation. Now, Pastor, the first question is, we as senior youth leaders, to what extent do we handle those books? Are we supposed to own them? The church manual, church policy, those books, or they are only reserved for the top leaders? I'll take you back to Samuel Nyero, who will take us through the questions from the candidates. Samuel, back to you if there are any other questions to Pastor, and then Pastor will answer.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Waisha, and thank you so much, Pastor, for the presentation. We are really grateful. I'm seeing comments, people are saying we have learned a lot, and indeed it has been very, very wonderful. For now, if you have any questions, please, you can raise your questions so that Pastor can respond. Questions from the members, you can. Yes, I'm just seeing comments. If there are any questions from the chat room, please, you can. You can just type.
This is Moses Muziru. I was inquiring whether the church has any arrangements for interpreting these policies to the local languages.
Okay, I've got it.
Especially the policies which are for common use, like the church manual and elder and pastor's manual for the youth, those two. And these are the general use manuals. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There's another question here, Pastor. Is there any arrangement for the church to make the policy redemptive? Hello.
I've heard it.
Okay. There are also other two questions here. Is it possible to get the presentation coded?
Okay. Go on.
Moderator, there's also another question from Kelvin Ronald in the chat room.
Yes.
Kelvin Ronald says, are there situations where one of the handbook conflicts with the church manual? In that case, which one supersedes? I think Pastor will add it among those other ones you've read, moderator.
Yeah, the pastor is listening. Any other?
There's still a question. What people are inquiring, where can we get the books in downloadable forms? Yeah, that is still Kelvin Roland. Pastor, can we get downloadable copies?
Okay. Thank you. Maybe in the interest of time, I can see it is 4:25. Can you have about more 3 questions so that we can give Pastor the opportunity to answer the questions?
Yes, we encourage participants to send the question in the chat room, like you've noted. The questions.
Okay.
Yeah. Now there's one also coming from Sister Mugamba Jacqueline, Central Uganda Conference, says, does the manual include cultural differences? That is Sister Jacqueline. Then Brother Simon. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Brother Simon also from Central Uganda Conference notes that some pastors and elders discourage youth from owning and reading these manuals. Can we go ahead and promote to buying and reading them? Yes.
That's very interesting. The pastor has had all the questions and he has noted. Very, very interesting. Okay, fine. Maybe if there is no any other questions for now, let's give the mic back to the pastor to respond to the questions.
Okay,
Pastor?
thank you. Thank you very much.
Maybe before Pastor goes, I have another question here that youth always ask me. Who makes these policies, the church manual? Is it made every year? How often do they make? Are there some changes? Who makes the policies and the church manual and all that? Do they change?
Okay, thank you. One of the most important policy book, is the church manual. That book is the most important book because for it is handled by every church member. Baptized member. That is your policy book. How to run the church, how to live, what you are supposed to know, and how to know it. All those are embedded in that book. So nobody should discourage you from owning that book. If you can buy it, if you can download it, it is on the internet. Because it is a universal book and you need to read it. I have discovered that many church members have gone or they have done things wrongly because they don't read that church manual. Therefore, I'm encouraging you to buy this book and read it. Own it. Just download it on your computer and have it. If you are a youth leader, before you go to the meeting, just open that. If you have an issue, ask yourself, where do I get this one? We are going for disciplinary committee. Where can we go? Then just go where the disciplinary or the discipline chapter is, read about it, then you go to the meeting with the knowledge. Don't go to the meeting without the knowledge about the policy of the issue you are going to discuss. So the church manual is very, very important, and that is a book which you should own. If you were a church elder, then you should have a church manual and the elder's handbook. If you are a youth leader, you should have a church manual and a youth handbook. If you are a deacon, you need to have a church manual first, then the other book. If you are a church pastor, you need a church manual first, then a minister's manual. Then if you are a leader, like a secretary like me, I need all of them. A church elder needs all of them. He needs, apart from the working policy, because that is for administrators. For me, I need all of them, and I have them in my office. I have them because I'm an administrator. So you need to have those books. If you are if you are a church member, a church manual, that one you don't need to be either in leadership position or a mere local church member. You need to have it. Then, who makes these policies? The church manual is revised every 5 years at the General Conference session. The one which we have now, I was in the session which revised it at Texas in US in 2015. I was there in that meeting. We discussed here and there, and we voted it. Also, some updates which are found there, I participated in the discussion. So the church manual is revised every 5 years. Next year, we are going to revise the 2015 church manual. Then the working policy is done by the General Conference. These manuals, these policy books, are revised by the councils and the committees of the higher organization, and they are voted by either the division, I mean the general conference, and adopted by the division. And for us this way, we have to use them. So these policies are not made by local churches. So never say, the Central Uganda Conference, but a policy book. No, that is not our policy book. It is a universal book. It is a book for the entire church. As I told you that our church is a universal church. Now, is culture, cultural differences, are they handled in these books? Yes, they are handled. There are guidelines and principles that guide us how to handle cultural differences. How do we handle, if I am a pastor and I'm leading a church, I need to know their culture, but we have guidelines. That is why I urge you to read those policy books. They are very, very good. Can we download them? Yes, there are some policies that you can download. If I am a church administrator, like a president, like a departmental, they can download the working policy. But the church manual is very, very important. That one, you can download it. Elders Handbook, I have not seen it on the internet, though I have read it from internet. It is not downloadable, but the church manual is there. You can download it. Then somebody said, is there any other book which is superior? I don't know whether he was saying superior to the church manual, but I have told you that church manual is a very important book whereby even its revision has to be voted at the general conference and everybody participates. So the church manual is very, very important. I want to say there is no superior policy book above the other, because our church is a united church. It has policies on different matters and for different elements. The youth has they have their policy. The deacons have their policy. The elders, the ministers, the church at large, the administrators. So we cannot say this policy book is superior to the other one, because all of them serve different purposes for different entities. I mean, for different elements, groups of people. Can we make policies redemptive? Yes. Policies are made to be redemptive. In fact, people who interpret policies are the people who violate policies. Because if I am to discipline a member, discipline is meant to be redemptive. So I need to read the church manual and apply it redemptively. So don't go to the meeting with all the anger so that you destroy people. Go there and redeem them. In fact, the word discipline comes from discipling, to remake this person a disciple. So that is, that is discipline. Pastor, can we translate, yes, translate these policy books in local languages? Yes, for us as Central, we are trying to translate this, the church manual, especially the church manual, because as I told you, this is the book for the church. So we are trying to translate the church manual into local language, that is Luganda language. However, the challenge we have is, like the church manual, it lasts for 5 years and it goes for revision. However, that one is not an excuse to me, and I should not make that one as an excuse. We need to translate it. So when they revise, we revise ours also. When they revise, we revise ours also. So for us as Central, we are translating it into Luganda. So when it is out, we shall inform you after it has been approved by our higher organization, because translating is such a big book. The division has to look at it and say, okay, you have translated it well. So, and after that one, we shall hand it over to you. Do we have to, anyway, the first question, I think Esther is the one who asked this one, the first question. Do we have to handle them? I don't remember actually. I wrote it down here, but I'm failing to understand it. What was the question actually? The first one. Esther.
Yes, Pastor, the first one, I think you've answered it. It was, are we allowed to have those books you've mentioned, but at least we've got it clear that the working policies for administrators, like at union level, at conference field level, and then the other books, we can have them accordingly.
Yes. Yeah. Unless there are more questions. Otherwise, I don't think whether there is a question that I have not answered. If you have more, I can answer them.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Pastor, for responding to the questions. Maybe just quick ones here. Somebody is asking, can a minister take a fellow minister to courts of law? And then two, somebody wants to know the difference between church principles and the church policy. I think those are the two quick ones. Okay, the other one who talked about a minister taking a fellow minister to court is asking, can you go ahead and take him to court? And then he says, what does the policy say about it?
Okay. So I handle the, okay. Is there another one?
If there's any other, maybe.
Hey, okay. We have Grace Subi. Grace Subi, Pastor appreciates Pastor, but he quotes Pastor's example on abortion. But we have a question on the church statement on abortion. Did we not leave the room open when we say that abortion is possible for serious case? Serious, maybe dependent on individuals, and it looks open a bit. Thanks. There is need for Pastor perhaps to make clarity on what he drew as an example among the policies. And then also another question probably the Pastor will have to put emphasis is about the advice on how we're supposed to explain the Bible. Because to Mugamba Jacqueline from Central Uganda Conference, she really thinks that as a church, we should have the Bible and Bible alone. Then why all those other books? Maybe Pastor will have to clarify whether the policies or the church manual deviate from the Bible. Thank you.
Okay, maybe, yes, Pastor, you can respond to those ones, and then we'll hand over to
Okay, let me begin with that one. Pastor, if we can have the Bible, isn't it enough, okay,